Every time you walk through your front door, your shoes are carrying the outside world in with them. Soil, moisture, debris, and most homes have no plan to stop it. But the Japanese genkan does something most Western entryways never think to do. It treats the entrance itself as a system, not just a passageway. The dirt doesn't get chased through the house, it gets stopped at the door, before it ever has a chance to spread. So what exactly makes the genkan work? Before you can adapt any of it, you need to understand what it actually is, and more importantly, what it isn't. A genkan sits immediately inside the main entrance. In traditional configurations, you step onto a lower, hard surface zone called the tataki, remove your shoes, and then step up onto the raised interior floor. That raised floor is the clean side. The tataki is the outdoor side. The line between them is physical, obvious, and impossible to misread. But here's the distinction that matters most for you. The cultural practice of removing shoes, the architectural feature of a defined genkan, and the design principle of separating clean and dirty zones are three separate things. The first is a custom. The second requires a specific building. The third requires nothing but a decision. Idea 1. The visible clean-dirty boundary. The reason the genkan works isn't the step itself. It's that everyone immediately understands what happens on each side of it. When there's no defined boundary in your entrance, people make a different judgment call every time they walk in. Sometimes shoes come off at the door. Sometimes they come off in the hallway. Sometimes they don't come off at all. A material change, different flooring, a washable runner, even a taped line, removes that decision entirely. The boundary communicates the rule without anyone having to say it. One practical note: if you're considering adding a raised threshold purely for visual effect, don't. A step that wasn't there before is a trip hazard, and for anyone with limited mobility, it's a genuine barrier. Idea 2. The shoe removal sequence. This is the beat the boundary sets up. In a genkan, shoes come off at the exact point where the outdoor and indoor zones meet, not at a closet down the hall, not on the living room carpet. The movement is specific. You enter, turn toward the interior, remove your shoes, and step cleanly onto the indoor surface without placing a socked foot back onto the entrance zone. That sequence keeps the clean side clean. It also needs to be honest about its limits. Anyone with balance difficulties, orthotics, or mobility needs requires a version of this that works for their body, which is why the next two ideas exist. Idea 3. Point of use shoe storage. Storage placed where the action happens is storage people actually use. In Japanese entrance design, a shallow or vertical cabinet sits directly beside the removal point. Frequently worn shoes occupy the accessible shelves. Seasonal pairs move higher. The cabinet doors conceal the visual clutter, while adjustable shelves handle different footwear sizes. One thing worth knowing: wet shoes sealed inside a poorly ventilated cabinet will develop odors. Let damp footwear dry before storing it, or choose a cabinet with ventilation built in. Idea 4. The wet weather zone. Shoes are not the only things arriving wet. An umbrella stand, a boot tray, a removable absorbent mat, and a hook for damp outerwear mean that rain and snow stop at the entrance surface, not halfway down your hallway. The principle is the same as the boundary. Give wet objects a defined place to stay so they never need to cross onto the clean side. The trade-off is maintenance. Trays fill with water, mats absorb grime, and both need to be emptied and dried regularly, or the entrance becomes the problem instead of the solution. Idea 5. The expanded hard surface zone for outdoor gear. Some modern Japanese homes extend the hard surface entrance area farther inward to contain bicycles, strollers, gardening tools, and sports equipment. The logic is identical to the tataki, just scaled up. You don't need a renovation to recreate it. A dedicated section of a garage, a set of vertical wall hooks near the exterior door, or a washable stroller parking area near the entrance can achieve the same result. Muddy wheels and dirty equipment stay in the zone that can be swept, not on the flooring that can't. All 5 of these ideas share one underlying logic. Give outdoor objects a defined stopping point before they reach the interior. The boundary, the removal sequence, the storage, the wet zone, the gear area. Each one is a layer in the same arrival sequence, and together they handle almost everything that walks through your front door. Of the 5 ideas we just covered, the visible boundary, the removal sequence, the shoe cabinet, the wet zone, and the gear area, which one does your current entryway need most? Drop your answer in the comments below, because the next 5 ideas build on exactly this foundation, and they solve the problems that come after the shoes are off. The boundary is set. The shoes are off. The wet gear has a place to drain. But here's where most entryway systems, even good ones, quietly fall apart. Everything else you carry through the door. Idea 6. The landing zone for daily carry. Think about what actually arrives with you every time you come home. Keys, a bag, reusable shopping totes, a package that needs to go back out. In a home without a landing zone, those objects travel as far as you do, onto the kitchen counter, the dining table, the nearest chair. The genkan approach intercepts them before they migrate. A narrow wall shelf, a pair of hooks, and 2 small baskets, one for incoming and one for outgoing, give every object a place to stop the moment you step inside. The one trade-off worth naming is capacity. A landing zone without strict limits becomes a clutter shelf within a week. Keep it to what you use daily. Everything else belongs in a different room. Idea 7. The bench and hand support. Removing shoes sounds simple until you're balancing on one foot at the end of a long day, or until you're watching a child or an elderly parent try the same thing. A low, stable bench at the entrance converts that unstable one-foot task into a controlled, seated movement. Lixil, one of Japan's major housing manufacturers, describes entrance benches as support for sitting while changing footwear, and wall-mounted rails as support for standing and crossing the entrance transition. Japanese housing guidance from the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism addresses step-free entrance design specifically for aging and disabled residents. Because the genkan's raised threshold, useful as it is as a visual boundary, can become a genuine barrier for wheelchair users or anyone with limited mobility. One important note: a decorative towel bar is not a structural handrail. Poorly anchored supports can fail under real load. If you're installing hand support, anchor it properly, or have it done professionally. Idea 8. The 2-stage dirt capture system. Even with a shoe removal rule in place, significant debris can accumulate directly inside the doorway before shoes ever come off. The solution is 2 layers working in sequence. A coarse exterior mat, the kind with stiff bristles or a ridged surface, removes larger particles before you even step inside. A second, softer, removable mat just inside the door catches finer dirt and moisture while the shoes are still on. The US EPA recommends adequately sized entry mat systems to trap soil and pollutants before they spread through a building. And the 2-stage approach is exactly that logic, applied at the smallest scale. 2 practical cautions. Loose mats on smooth flooring are a trip hazard, so choose non-slip backing. And any carpet-like surface near a wet entrance needs to be dried and cleaned before it becomes the source of the problem it was meant to prevent.
Idea 9. The entrance cleaning station. Small messes stay small only if cleaning them takes less effort than ignoring them. A slim broom and dustpan stored inside the shoe cabinet, or mounted flush against the wall beside it, means a 30-second sweep is available the moment it's needed, not after a trip to a utility closet at the back of the house. The proximity is the point. Store a compact cleaning tool where the dirt arrives, and you'll use it. Keep cleaning products out of reach of young children and pets, and let any damp cloth air out rather than sealing it away damp. Idea 10. The renter-friendly genkan. You don't need a sunken tataki, a built-in cabinet, or a contractor to recreate what the genkan does. A washable mat defines the shoe zone. A narrow, freestanding shoe cabinet provides point-of-use storage. A stable stool handles seated shoe removal. Removable adhesive hooks hold bags and outerwear. A small boot tray contains wet items. And one compact cleaning tool lives beside the cabinet. That sequence, boundary, removal, storage, containment, maintenance, is the genkan's entire logic, reproduced without touching a single wall. The only way it fails is if the storage starts blocking your exit route, or the entrance becomes so crowded that the system itself creates the clutter it was designed to stop. And that's the larger lesson across all 10 of these ideas. None of them require cultural imitation. None require renovation. They work because they reproduce one continuous arrival sequence. Outdoor dirt is caught at the door. Shoes are removed at the boundary. Wet objects are contained before they drip farther. Daily carry items stop before they migrate. And everything has a place before anyone reaches the main living area. The genkan isn't effective because it's uniquely Japanese. It's effective because it turns prevention into architecture. Which of these 10 ideas would make the biggest difference at your front door? Subscribe if you want more like this.